Hello and welcome to the session, the special AMA with none other than Andrew Durgee right here in Herzliya, Israel, who came to visit us and will be taking part in the AMA. We have Datika and Silbert joining us as well. We will not have much time to faff. We'll get straight into the meat. So perhaps we can start with all three gentlemen just giving us some opening remarks very briefly, and then we have some very, very interesting questions from the community. Everyone sort of rallied around this AMA, and we want to get to the down and dirty details. But without further ado, we'll start with Andrew over here.
Yeah, happy to be here. First time in Israel at the wonderful INX office, which is beautiful. How do you say this town? What's
Herzliya.
Herzliya, just north of Tel Aviv. I'm gonna have to work on that. But anyway, here in Herzliya, it's been just a great experience to get a lot of FaceTime with everyone here and number of people that I just haven't met yet, and just have my first time here in Israel. For those who are curious, very safe. Great time maybe to come. There's not super busy. It was really just been an amazing experience, and the hospitality from the INX team has been remarkable. So thank you.
Thank you. Shai, would you like to start us off?
First of all, thank you for coming, Andrew. To come on this time to Israel, it's not obvious. We really appreciate that. What's going on in Israel on the south, it's something different than what we feel in Herzliya or in Tel Aviv. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you very much for joining us.
Cool. And now, Alan, before we go into the questions, do you have any opening remarks?
Just thanks everybody for logging in all your questions. We will. There's a lot of them, so we kind of try to prioritize and get to the important ones. So yeah, thanks for being so connected and launching questions to us. We're glad that we're able to do this, and I think you'll be happy with the results. And I think what you'll see is what we feel on our side, which is that us and Republic work very collaboratively, constantly, and it's a very fruitful partnership in any regard. So, and we hope that will continue on for a long time to come. So you'll see in our answers.
Thank you for that. And without further ado, we'll go straight to Andrew, our special guest, with the first question. Why is the acquisition of INX postponed for the second time? And please share some details with the community about the topics of discussion, sort of a behind the scenes peek, whatever you can share.
Yeah, no, happy to talk to it. As we're going through what is our Series C financing, and we have found someone that we think is the appropriate lead opportunity for us. It's just extensive diligence when you're raising that much money at that type of valuation, especially post FTX. Everyone is particularly careful. So I would say the level of diligence that we're experiencing in our Series C versus our Series B is orders of magnitude more significant, which has actually been a great experience for us just to be able to shore up all of hot mic, just to shore up all of our docs and data rooms and materials. But overall, we're extremely confident in the round. We're super happy with the investors that we do have committed to it. And we don't think we're far off now from being able to wrap that up. So we're committed to getting this INX acquisition done. I mean, I'm here to drive that through. And as we work together, just the collaboration and the DNA of the two organizations is just really symbiotic. And I think it's important to note that while we did extend out the option on the acquisition, we also are extending out the collaborative agreement, which is the ability for us to continue to integrate and work together regardless of acquisition. And again, that's just the Republic commitment to driving as much as we can to INX in the short term to grow the brand and the value and the user base. Because ultimately, we think that will serve both of us very well. Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. And we want to go on to a sort of a follow-up question. With the acquisition of INX, what will happen to INX team, brand management? Will the management be paid to just walk away? And will INX have a name change, or or keep the same name, INX?
Yeah, no one's getting paid to walk away. We want everybody. Listen, we are no strangers to M&A. I think this is our 9th acquisition now. We're one of the more active M&A groups in the Web3 space. And we're particularly adept at PMI, which stands for post-merger integration. It's a process you go through after you go through an acquisition. And that PMI process takes 12 months, 18 months, can even take up to 2 years in some instances. And I'll give you a great example. We acquired Cedars out of the UK almost 2 years ago now. 100 plus people, largest private missions platform and private secondary market in Europe. And we really just finished going through that PMI process and now converting what was Cedars to now what is now Republic Europe. So inevitably we will go through that type of a similar process with INX. I think, we're getting better at it. So I think we've done a lot of preemptive work leading up to this. So probably not on the 2-year timeline, but more in that year to year and a half timeline. There will be a rebranding process. We'll sit everything under that Republic umbrella and that Republic brand. But no, sorry, no one gets to walk away. That's not part of the deal.
So we got to give Andrew a break and move to Shai with a question about a plan B. Is there a plan B in the event that the acquisition with Republic does not go? And if so, what is the preferred route for fundraising?
Well, first of all, I have to say that we both, Republic and INX, are obligated to the transaction, and not only from the business point of view, but as Andrew said, we have the same DNA. And I think the personal relationship between Republic team and INX team is something which is awesome. I think I've never seen something like this. 2 different companies, 2 different mentalities, 2 different side of the ocean, and we work so well together. So as of the plan B, I think as part of the deal with Republic, we have 2 agreements. One is the acquisition, and the other one is the collaboration. So if the acquisition will not happen or will be postponed in a year or so, we still have the collaboration agreement where a streaming of new tokens will come through and from Republic to INX. So this is a part of the plan B. And the second part of plan B is that we are talking with other, by the way, together with Republic, to have, to land on soft land, if something will happen, to have other investors with or without or together with Republic.
Thank you, Shai. And Alan, we'll move to you and ask you about the raises and the pipeline coming through from Republic. So why haven't there been any listings coming from Republic, and when can we expect to see some?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see this one because the Republic note actually did list on the platform. So the Republic note was kind of the first test run of a listing on our platform as part of this collaboration. We think it went seamlessly, and we have been for kind of months working through with Republic their current portfolio, which raises are going to be good candidates for tokenization going forward. We're also collaborating and having calls and meetings with new issuances that we think are good candidates for tokenization as well. So, and we'll probably speak about this later as well, but we're really focused on big names. A lot of the primary raise is on the issuer. They need to be in control of their marketing budget, user base, what they bring, and we're really focused on bringing big names that have either a captive fan base or a known name or a known brand, and that's a lot of what we're focused on with Republic going forward on this front. So I don't want to throw out numbers of pipeline or anything, but we're working on deals in this respect.
Cool. And maybe we can talk a little bit about the user growth on the INX platform. I think we have had a bunch of questions around that. And perhaps, Alan, you can speak to, maybe some numbers, just maybe some qualitative data about the user growth on INX.
Yeah, I know in the last couple of months, in particular, registrations are up over 400%, traders up over 200%, and deposits up over about 150%. So just to throw some numbers out there, yeah, the Republic note listing drove a lot of numbers, so that was great, and I think the ongoing integration and collaboration will also kind of drive user growth.
Those are some excellent numbers, and we'll shift somewhere else completely to what's called a special purpose broker dealer. That's kind of been in the news recently. A special purpose broker dealer that will allow INX to custody digital securities. So the question came in if INX has any plans to go through the process of acquiring an SPBD, a special purpose broker dealer license, either now or in the future.
The SPBD, so as of right now in the US, there's only one that's been approved, and it's not an operational company. And we see the benefits of an SPBD as being a fully custodial platform, but it goes both ways. And with it comes a lot more constraints from a regulatory perspective. And as opposed to like our model, the non-custodial model, we have more flexibility. We can operate 24/7, 365. There's less capital constraints and things like that. And there's ways to work the current model to make it more seamless, to layer on other wallets like the Republic wallet. Like I said, it allows us to trade around the clock. It allows you to be your keys, your coins. So from a security perspective, it's great. And yeah, I think somebody asked about the time frame for an SPBD right now. We're talking years probably. We have other things in the regulatory realm that are progressing, and it's also a decision of priorities and not upsetting the apple cart of things that we have in motion with regulators. So everything is very thoughtfully thought through, and hopefully that kind of tackled the SPBD question.
So we'll move from SPBD to some other initiatives that came up in the question, and we'll start with you, Alan. But what happened to ADR OTC listings? We had some collaborations around ADRs. And the community would like to know where that kind of stands.
What happened, Alan? Tell us. We're dying.
Yeah, so we absolutely see the value of traditional finance instruments getting tokenized and trading, digital ADRs, adding an Apple token to our platform, for instance, or something of that realm. I think as a general comment, a lot of things in the last couple of years just really slowed to a crawl or didn't move in the crypto space. So the crypto winter was a real thing. It affected not just cryptocurrencies, but also just the space in general. And what I see personally is the ETF approvals that came for the Bitcoin ETFs were a giant momentum shift, and things are just kind of waking up from crypto winter, really. So a lot of different things, OTC, ADRs, were also affected as well. Kind of anything that touched the space, people just slowed down, reconsidered, more thoughtfully decided where to deploy capital, and things we're seeing a moderate shift back to some decent momentum on the back of the ETFs. It's kind of a rising tide floats all boats scenario. And I think it was seen as a giant momentum shift, especially in the U.S., where the SEC has been kind of intransigent, and it was a big win for the space in general. So ADR OTC, we continue to work on it. There's still live discussions, and hopefully I can deliver something more final in the months to come.
Cool. And the other big initiative that kind of came up is CBDC, central bank digital currency. So I'd like to ask Shai about the general CBDC pulse in the INX company.
We established the JV together with SICPA, the giant from Swiss. The sales cycle of CBDC is long like years. We have been working together with SICPA in the past 12 months or more to develop the solution. I think we can say that we have the first type and beta site to the solution. We are working closely with a few central banks around the world, with PFI, and we are answering those PFI to the central banks. We are very optimistic about our solution. The relationship of SICPA with the tens and hundreds of central banks around the world, together with the INX technology and what we have been developing for the past year, is a great solution. And I'm sure that news will come in the next future.
Thank you, Shai. Andrew, it's back to you. And this is a great question because it kind of gauges the sentiment in the market. And we've had people ask, out of all Republic, you have about 3,000 plus companies that you've invested in your ecosystem. How many of those are candidates for tokenization, have expressed interest in tokenization? And in general, what's the pipeline like on the Republic side?
Yeah, so there's really two things there. One is the existing portfolio that we have, and then the sales process for future potentially portfolio clients. So every day that things like ETF and more clear regulatory frameworks happen, our existing portfolio becomes more and more open-minded to that concept. And so we've already started exploring that, building out a target list and going back through our existing portfolio to not only educate them, but also then inevitably, hopefully, onboard them into a tokenization and an inevitable secondary market opportunity with INX. But going back to previous clients actually proving to be pretty difficult because these are businesses that have limited bandwidth, that are focused on what's directly in front of them. And so you have to come with a pretty strong value proposition of why they should go through this extra level, an extra step of work, inevitably to tokenize and then be able to have a secondary market. So I think every day that we move farther down the line, that becomes easier. I think the bigger step, though, that Republic has done is we've completely integrated secondary market and INX into our existing sales process for new issuers. So as new issuers are coming onto the Republic platform, they are immediately confronted with that idea, and we're pushing more and more for all of those issuers that would have been traditional kind of Reg CF raises or other raises to now predominantly be natively tokenized. And that is proving to be much, much easier than going back to the previous portfolio. So we've gone through two big phases. One is a Web3 education for the entire Republic team. So we took the entire Republic team, like 450 people, through a Web3 onboarding course that took about 7 months to do that for everybody. So where now that Republic is not just simply a Web3 leaning business, but really can be a Web3 native business. So that was step one. Step two was going through all the appropriate integrations with INX so that we could have a seamless experience for issuers that opt for the tokenization framework. And then actually 3 steps. The third step was then the Republic note, because we needed an example of a product that would go from start to finish through from traditional to tokenization and then through to secondary market listing. So now that we've successfully ran that through and broke all these records and did all these things and hit all these benchmarks, performed far better than we anticipated. Now it's a lot easier to bring that use case into the sales process and say, this is how it works. You can see how it works. Here's all the examples. and we have the rails and integrations in order to do that in a really seamless way. So we kind of had to go through these other steps first before it really unlocks that potential. But now this is now natively to all of our sales process. If you look at any of our sales materials now, INX is front and center when it comes to bringing those issuers onto Republic.
That's wonderful to hear. It's obviously a lot easier to orient new people than to go back retroactively. And speaking on that, staying on the same subject, with issuers coming in, new offerings, INX and Republic are both invested or both actively pursuing STO issuers. So by acquiring INX, will these two entities pursue issuers separately, or will one drop? How will the primary offering side of the business be impacted by an acquisition?
That's a great question. And that actually relates back to an earlier question, which is that PMI process, right? You won't be able to integrate those two environments overnight, right? That's going to take a year and a half in order to do so. So there's intermediates that lead up to that that allow for these two things to coexist and still be able to flourish. So there will still be offerings on both platforms, but inevitably we will be able to syndicate those offers between the two platforms, right? So we can expose our network and our distribution channels to deals that were already on their way to INX, and INX can do the same thing by exposing Republic deals to the INX community. So at least initially, there'll be two side-by-side platforms, but more and more you'll start to see those when the acquisition completes. Then you'll start to see more and more of those offerings existing in both platforms, and you'll start to see a slow integration of those platforms, and then eventually you'd log on to INX, and it will just redirect you to Republic.
Like Twitter and X, but just better.
Yeah, not black. It's going to be our blue color.
So now we move on to the question of questions. I think, Alan, if you had a Bitcoin for every time you answer this question, I think it'd be Satoshi Nakamoto. But we'll answer it again for the sake of completeness, and that's the question around what happens to the INX token in the event of an acquisition.
Yep, get this question a lot. So it's and this is, by the way, very clearly laid out in the prospectus. So I would encourage you, you'll listen to what I have to say, but you should go back and read the prospectus. You'll come across it under a change of control section. So just search change of control, and the stuff is laid out very clearly, which is why we toiled for 3 years at the SEC to spell this stuff out. So the INX token, under a change of control, the cash fund gets paid out to all the token holders pro rata. So I think I ballparked that at like 25 to 27 cents per token is where that kind of what that means from a money perspective. So after that cash fund gets paid out to the token holders, the token continues with all of the same rights. So every single right attributed to the token that is in the prospectus and is in your token purchase agreement will continue on. And it's very hard, virtually impossible to undo your rights. Because we have, every single token holder has a token purchase agreement with us, which is a legal contract. And so anything that we would do to alter your rights would essentially take a unanimous consent of all of the token holders. So all of that being said, so there's no plans to integrate the Republic note and the INX token. But in any case, if at some point in the future, and we're not discussing this at this point in any way, but if at any point in the future there was a decision to integrate them or to change the rights of your tokens, you would have to be consenting to it, and we would be amending your token purchase agreement most likely. And so it takes some kind of earth moving to change that. So again, in summary, cash fund gets paid out pro rata, token continues with all of its same rights. Whether we go private or not as a result of this transaction, the token will continue to be publicly reported through the SEC because it's a security that's out there under a prospectus. So you'll still get kind of transparency through that publicly reporting process, and everything. As of right now, virtually all of our operations roll up to INX Limited, which is the entity that issued the token. So just like it now, that'll continue going forward. Operational cash flow, profits, whatever, roll up to that INX limited entity, which in the future will, if the acquisition gets consummated, will be underneath the Republic umbrella. So hopefully that irons out this question.
Thank you, Alan. And I think we'll finish off with a very interesting question. It's, the market sentiment that you mentioned.
One second, may I add something over here? I would like to add something.
Fire it
up. Many times I receive questions similar to Alan. The distribution of the cash fund is not a redeem of the token. It's not like you give the token, you receive cash. No, we distribute the cash fund to the token holders and everything goes on like it was before. It's not a redeemable token. It's not like if I give the token, I receive the cash, and if not, I will not receive the cash. No, it's the token holders will hold the token in the future, and everything will be the same. Thanks.
It's like a one-time dividend.
Yeah, it's like a one-time dividend. Exactly. Thank you.
How is that treated from a tax perspective, right? So like that's not necessarily like a long-term capital gains or short-term capital gains event, right? Is that just identified as income?
Hey, you put me on the spot there. So I'm gonna add the disclaimer that everybody should consult with their tax advisors or accountants. I mean, personally, it's probably treated like a one-time dividend. It's like treated like dividend taxation. But however, I am not an accountant or lawyer or tax advisor. But that's what I think it would probably be. It would probably be treated like a one-time dividend, I'm assuming.
It's just super interesting, right? Because if you're not redeeming it, then it won't fall under that capital gains framework, most likely, right? So that's super, super interesting.
It's like you buy something at price X and you receive back part of this. But as Alan said, we're not tax advisors.
I mean, this query is something that every airdrop a recipient can ask as well. Like, what is the nature of that, godsend tokens that I found in my wallet? But
the U.S. has a good way of not letting you escape any taxes whatsoever. So it will get bucketed somewhere.
When there's a will, there's a way.
And the tax return in the U.S. now does have a question: do you hold cryptocurrency? If you trade in cryptocurrency, they're very focused on it. However, this is a security, but still, it's
I saw that. That's one of the top questions in the IRS. It seems like it's when they take notice of you, that's when you're winning. But I'm curious about the sentiment. We talked about the Bitcoin ETF changing the sentiment, the IRS making crypto a little bit more highlighted, and in general, it seems like the bull market is kind of getting back into gear. So, isn't now a time to promote a larger scale operation around the crypto trading platform? And Alan and Shai, whichever one of you want to start or finish off on this question, you are more than welcome.
Yeah, I think, sure. So, I think in general, the cryptocurrency trading business has always been a little bit tangential and not our primary focus. It's definitely like an enabler. We want to have that the trading capabilities for our clients, but like the funnel that brings in clients and where our focus is on security tokens. And our hope and aim is that they'll come in through primary offerings. They'll see the secondary trading opportunities for tokens. They'll also see what cryptos they can trade. And as of right now, in the U.S., we're licensed in 46 of the 50 states, plus DC and Puerto Rico right now to trade cryptos. Which, by the way, I get a lot of questions also on the remaining licenses. Yes, BitLicense is still in process. It's a grueling, long, tortuous process, but yes, BitLicense is still in process. Texas is still in process. Tennessee is still in process. The only state that is currently not in process that isn't on our list is Hawaii, and that's because it's just near impossible to get approved there. So anyway, but going back to the question, crypto tangential business a little bit. And in terms of like a marketing push, it's like what I mentioned before. You know, we have a valuable pool of capital, and it's about like priorities. You know, it's hard for us to outdo a Coinbase or a Kraken in cryptocurrency trading marketing. I'm just, you know, we're not going to outdo their dollar spend on marketing. It would take millions of dollars. And so a lot of this is just how we route our efforts. And a lot of it's going to be on the token side. Shai, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to that.
No, you have a very good summary. Our main business focus is the security token. The digital part is enabler to the security side, and we enable our clients to trade both security tokens and digital currencies on the same platform. You have one login, one username, and you have the access to the IPOs, to the security token platform, and to the digital trading platform. It's kind of unique. No one else has this ability to offer both security token trading 24/7 and digital currencies trading on the same platform under one username.
Okay, and that is it for our questions. You guys know that we're always open, especially Alan. He's there at all times of the day answering questions in Telegram. So if you have any more questions, you know where to find us. For now, we bid farewell to our three legends over here, Andrew, Shai, and Alan. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for answering candidly. I think we all have a little bit more clarity about the past, present, and future, and the vision going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks everybody for joining.